All right, I guess there we go. I'm on live now. Cool, cool, cool. Good morning, everybody. I'm trying a new camera, seeing what's going to do, see if it gives better reception. Seemed like last time I had really lousy reception. You couldn't see the page at all. And another thing is, too, guys, I'm aware of the fact that it completely cut out my audio. I had the radio on too loud if you guys only watched in the live feed. Again, I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Jason Enos. I'm here for the next part of the live inking I've been doing. Here's the page. Wow, I got great reception today on this camera. I'm happy. Um, that I was working on last time. It's by David Yarden. The links are all in the comments for the event. What I'm going to do at this very moment is I'm going to update all the appropriate media sites so you guys know I'm out here. Live inking now. This is the boring part, guys, where I go ahead and do all this linking to this, that, and the other thing. So I'm going to share this to Alice in Zombieland and share it to ECV Press's page. And I'm also going to share this to digital webbing because I know you guys are out there. You guys have told me you're out there. But anyway, my goal is to do 2 sessions. One now, one after lunch. I'm not really hungry, so I figured, I'll put off on lunch. No sense in eating just to make myself full. So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is wait till I'm actually hungry, take a mid-lunch break, and then come back and broadcast part 2. Plus, it's going to keep me from having that long video feed. I don't want you guys to have like an 8-hour video to watch. YouTube caps it at 8, but I don't want to do 8. You know, seriously, I don't want to do 8. It would be just too long of a video. Plus, there's more potential of error. In other words, if I lose internet connection one time, I lose the entire time. That's what happened. Online, you only see one video. But that's because I had to resume the new broadcast. But when I resumed the old broadcast, it overwrote the old one. So the first half of the video is completely missing. And I blame the door-to-door salesman I got. I had a door-to-door salesman around 1 o'clock, and she wouldn't go away. And I was like, you understand I'm broadcasting live on the air for everyone to see right now. Now, I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I actually told her very nicely. But it's just, it figures, you know. I don't get anybody door to door. I could be lonely, and no one comes to the door. The minute I'm doing something, it's like Grand Central Station, you know. But anyway, and I guess it's just bitterness. But I guess I'm more upset because I lost internet during that time. I didn't know it. I don't know how Google works. So I started a new Hangout with the old link, which overwrote the old video. And then I put my radio on too loud, so then Google blocked my audio. So all you have is a somewhat blurry video of me pantomiming for 2 hours around a page that you can see getting darker, but you can't really see the details on. But anyway, excuse me. As we've been talking, I'm actually working on updating all the appropriate journals and all the appropriate links. I've already updated Facebook and Twitter. Not Twitter yet. I don't know how you guys find me. If I've got viewers, by all means, tell me how I found you guys. I'm easy to reach. On Twitter, I'm Enos the Composer, E-N-O-S. That's E like elephant, N like Nicholas, O like Oscar, S like Sam. Enos the Composer. I don't block you unless you're an absolute jerk. So you can reply to me through Twitter. If you're a member of Digital Webbing, of course, you can send me a PM. If you're on DeviantArt, you can send me a message or a comment on my page just to say, hey, I saw it, or hey, I couldn't get on, or whatever. I don't know. I actually have 2 YouTubes. Oh, okay. Long story short, the Ultimate Warrior died last night, I think it was. So I'm not a big fan of wrestling, but you know, he did kind of a personality, a memorable personality. So I went ahead and said, you know what? I'm going to share some stuff about that because he had some personality. All right, one more update, now we'll get down to brass tacks. Sometimes they got to say tune in, otherwise people don't know you guys are welcome. I don't know. I get the feeling some of my friends that aren't art savvy are just like, nah, I'm not an artist. I want to understand what's going on. Don't be like that, really. I'm not. This isn't a channel for people that aren't going to be artists. I mean, you see my channel. I've got my music on there. I've got just goofy videos of me impersonating famous characters from movies, etc. This is not Jason tries to make himself look smart. This is more of, hey, I guess I've learned a thing or two. I'd like to share that with everybody else, so I'm not greedy. The whole don't put your light under a bushel thing. I really believe strongly in that. I believe you should not put your light under a bushel, because we all are put in this. We're all put in this world to do something. I believe we're put here by God to do things, and I feel like sitting back is a waste of talent. Just sitting around doing nothing is a huge waste of your time. There's so much more you could be doing with your life than just doing nothing. Like I said, if you got talent, you should be using it. Even if you're not, I'm not saying you should be selling books, millions of books, or you're wasting life. But you should be using what you've been given. I was watching, strangely enough, I was watching Yes Man last night, and there's a quote on that made me really happy. Zoe Deschanel was talking about how life is like a playground. I really agree with that. I mean, as long as you're not doing any harm to anyone, you know, and whatever's noble, whatever's true, whatever's pure, you know, why not? Why not do that? You should be experiencing life like a playground. I'm getting out my tools, by the way. Well, I've got 2 viewers. Holy cow. Oh, just one. Anyway, got my tools out. My French curve. I'm trying to get the brass tacks as fast as possible, guys. I don't want to bore you. I got my circle template. I don't know if I'll be using that for this page. My French curves, microns, my Series 7 Winsor Newton. Got 2 of those. I'm trying to go through my list of materials, so I'm not going to bore you later on. Please feel free to ask if you missed something, because I don't mind going over it again. I don't mind saying it 800 times, because I don't know who's coming in when and for what reason, so I'm just like, I'll just say whatever. This is a Winsor Newton Series 7. Wow, I got good camera today. You can actually almost read it. Series 7, number 2. It's backward for me so I can see it right, but it should be right way around for you. 000. Same brush. Winsor Newton Series 7. I use them because they're sable brushes. I want to try Raphael. That's been recommended by Jonathan Glapion. Haven't tried it yet. All right. Basic tools. Rags to a dirty brush on. Cup of water. And of course, my ink. I'm using P.H. Martin's Black Star ink. If I grab my other bottle of ink, I've got Black Magic ink. It's a little bit runnier. I used that for some of Catwoman in the really fine lines the other time on a gauntlet. I didn't say glove. It's more of a gauntlet. I need my tiny ruler because I'll be doing some ruled lines for the panel borders. And one other thing I need is a cup of water. I mean, I got the cup, but I need to put water in it. By the way, this is something my friend brought up, and I need to kind of show you. For pencilers, especially. To keep your kneaded eraser from getting all over the place, and this is the season to do it too. The only problem is that mine keeps falling apart. Little Easter egg, you know, so you don't get the gunk everywhere. Because, you know, it just leaves residue everywhere. I might need to tape mine shut because I just kind of bounce open as I shuffle it around. I think that's just about everything. What am I missing? Besides the cup of water. I got the cup, I just need water in it. All right. Put this. I'm sure there's probably sticklers that say you should use distilled water. I don't know how important that would be. It's only going to be cleaning a dirty brush. And the brush is going to have more ink and dirt on it than anything else. All right. Trying to figure out where I'm going to get started. I'm probably going to start with the number 2. By the way, I probably say this every time, but the number 2 brush, I got that because that's the same size that Rachel Dodson uses to ink Terry Dodson's work. So I was like, it can't be all that bad. The first one I got was the 000. Shift that down, see if I can get you a good view of the page. There we go. First one I bought was the 000, and I thought, this is so not what I wanted. Are you able to see Catwoman in that? That's the one bad thing about the laptop camera is I can't put it lower unless I put it on a stack of books beside me or something, which I might do actually. Because there's the only way to put it down is to tip it down because I don't have a Well, I bet you probably could prop it up like this. Will that work? Yeah, that works better. I just have to figure a way to set my laptop at an angle. Sorry guys, I'm doing trial and error because last time the camera did not give me the kind of reception I wanted, and it seemed like everything was like YouTube streaming circa 2003, and I was just like, oh boy, this doesn't look good at all. And I don't want you guys to have to like really look poorly. Is that gonna slip on me? That should give you a pretty good view. Plus, you're on the side that's opposite of my brush too, so you should be able to get a good view. Let me know if you need a better view because I can't. Do I have the comments open? I really can't see my screen at this angle. But hey, I will live with I can't see the screen if it means you guys get to see the inking. All right, let me slide this over this way a little bit more. There we go. That's much better. Now I get a view of the working surface. By the way, if you hear me go, oh, shoot, it probably means my laptop is slipping. I need to grab it quick. Anyway, I just use an old plate. This is like a dessert plate from work. Nobody ever hardly uses the smaller sizes. And one day, oops, that's the picture. I don't know where that came from. One day at work, I should probably show you this part. I haven't showed you this part yet. What I do is when I first dip my brush in the ink, I start kind of twisting it around so that I can get a point like that on it. Where's the camera? There we go. See? I'm like twisting it in the ink. I don't just dip it in. I twist it in the ink to shape the point. You want to shape the point before you can get it to the paper. I'm starting with a kind of a big brush because I kind of want to get a lot of ink on there. And you can start with a big brush because you can get really fine points with this number 2. I assumed big brush means big fat line. That was my mistake. Tip means thin line. So if you got a nice tip on it, it's not going to matter how big the brush is. What's going to matter is how well you form the tip and how well you control it. You're not going to be, small brush does not equate small line. Small brush just doesn't mean all you'll get out of it is a small line, but you can still do a big line, a small line with a big brush if you shape the tip rightly. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to pull up the original page for a second, so if I go kind of like weird for a second, you'll know why. There's one little area I'm not 100% certain on, and I'm going to pull up the original Yarden pencil. Sometimes when you print it in this blue pencil, it's kind of hard to see what you're doing. Where is it? By the way, the link to my DeviantArt should be on there, and the link to the page itself should be on there. The link to my version and to Yarden's version should both be on there. So you should be able to see, oh, this is what I'm doing, and this is, I was right. It is a little bit of a shine reflection. This way you can do your own version. The cool thing about David Yarden is that he literally says, hey, you want a portfolio piece? You can practice by inking my piece. But he also says, hey, you can't resell it. Hey, I don't care. I'm not doing this to sell a piece. I'm doing this so I can have a practice piece for my portfolio. Oops. Sorry. There we go. I like keeping my camera up so I can see what you guys are seeing, so I know if I'm giving you guys a good angle. I watch my video feed, not because I'm narcissistic, but so I can see what I'm doing. Make sure you guys are seeing something good. I'm getting a good view of what's going on. It'd be awful if I was just sitting there going, oh, look at this, look at that, and then it's off camera. Because then you're like, what is he doing? And again, I don't know how capable you guys are in responding to me, so I'm like, before I just go ahead and assume that you can send me a million messages, let me just go ahead and tell you, make things so you don't have to issue forth the communication. Again, it's easy to do if you had to. I'm on Twitter. I'm on DeviantArt. I mean, if you saw the link for the video, you have a way to communicate with me. It's that simple. I mean, you can. I mean, what was that? Oh, it's Google. I'm gonna have to turn off Facebook, guys, because it keeps popping up like doo-doo, that little annoying sound that it does. I don't want it to have. Well, I better leave it open. I just realized people might be sending me messages via that. Now here I'm talking about. Hey, yeah. Let me go ahead and do this. Okay, that's that. Yeah, I'll just ignore the notification. I'll ignore the sound of the notifications and look them up. But yeah, send me a message. I just got through saying, send me a message. I'm like, oh, I hate the noise of the updates. That's people sending me messages. So please forgive me for that. I'm not thinking too clearly. I'm trying to focus on this page. A likely story. It is hard to draw really tiny lines with this brush, as far as short lines. I shouldn't say tiny lines. Small lines are easy to draw with the brush. Sometimes it's hard to kind of change angles really easily and make a beautiful line. As I said last time, which I think probably got lost in the video, great video loss of 2014, inking is about beautiful lines. That should be your goal. You're not really drawing the page. The page has been drawn, but sometimes it's been drawn with very ugly lines. It's the nature of penciling. The penciling is just to do the layout, tell the artist where everything goes. And the inker is supposed to make it look all pretty. Got ink in the brush. Sometimes I'll reload the brush, not because I need more ink, but just so I have a sharper point. Because again, it's all about the point, not necessarily how much ink you got on it. Oh, that was good. Woo! That one was really good. It's another thing. Sometimes it's hard to see where your brush is and when it's about to make contact. Always work in a well-lit area too. I'm like, I can do blow with. I never worked in a low-lit area ever again. I've tried doing that once, and I was so frustrated with seeing where the brush was touching that I wound up putting marks where I didn't want marks to go because I couldn't see what I was doing. Like just now. It won't be that bad of a mark. I didn't make a very good mark, but it'll be all right. You can sometimes make the mistakes. I wouldn't say it's a mistake. I would say a less than perfect situation work out. There we go. Oof! Little tiny lines. Little tiny lines sometimes. Yeah, but I'm using the number 2. It seems to go really nice for doing all kind of wide variation. And I would say for the most part, unless you're doing like super, super, super tiny work all the time, I would recommend almost always using a larger brush with a nice chiseled tip. Because chances are you're not doing anything where you need to worry about a fine point all the time. Even hairs can be faked. And another thing is you don't want to be too tight on everything. You'll be amazed at how much easier things, you can tell the tension in a hand. You want to be as free-flowing as possible when you lay down a line. Sometimes it's kind of impossible when you got like a facial detail where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm holding my breath to make sure it comes out all right. But you want to make it look as free-flowing as possible because you'll be able to see every little quiver in your line, which is kind of one of those things that's just it's part of life. You'll be able to see every little line variation and every little shake in your hand. And the more steady you are, the more comfortable you are, it will show through. Maybe not in a zoomed out, scan of 150, but oops, I have a little quivery, but it was my hand balanced. The lines that don't need to be 100% exact, I'll just kind of go fast so it makes it look smoother. Just trying to get really tight on these lines. I'm just trying to get my hand, I was over my hand cramp. So I'm bearing down a little bit too hard, and I'm trying to relax some, so I'm not like crazy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and to do her mesh of her costume with pen and the microns and the French curves. I was talking to a friend of mine about that whole situation, but I was like, I don't want to do it with microns. He's like, why would you want to do it any other way? It would be so hard to do it with a brush. And I agree with him. I'm like, why am I making this hard on myself? Seriously. There's no sense in making it harder on yourself.
especially if you're looking to become like a professional comic book artist, you're going to have to crank out pages. Pages, 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 pages. Saying that now, I have taken 2 weeks to do one page. But that's because I'm doing my day job, and I don't have much time to do art on my day job, which is kind of sad. I work in a marketing job, and I talk on the phone like 90% of my day. And literally, it's about 95% of my day, minus my lunch break. And yesterday, I actually had an extended lunch break, so I was like, okay, time to ink. I literally got like 5 lines done. But yeah, it's one of those jobs. See, I'm cleaning up my brush now. I always do it like, I usually figure every time I drop some ink out, time to put more, time to clean it out again. If the brush gets dirty. That's what I forgot, my brush soap, guys. Hold on one second. I got everything in my handy dandy book bag. This is my brush soap. Did it show up on camera? Good. It's good. They make ink cleaner. I don't use that for brushes. I'm always afraid it's going to dissolve the brush. That's probably an unwarranted fear. But that kind of stuff is really for the hard caked on stuff. And this brush soap will pretty much take out stuff that's been in there for days anyway. So there's been times I'm like, oh, look how dirty that is. Oh, gee, I forgot to clean my brush. And then I look at it, and then sure enough, I got all the stuff out. So you can tell because I smeared my ink a little bit, I think. I mean, I can touch it up in Photoshop. It just makes me sad I didn't keep it clean. This panel's getting a little bit dirty anyway. I've got a little bit of a mark there. I don't know if you can see it. Last time I got this random black mark by, I think you can see it right here. Oops, if I put it down further. See that random? I don't know where that came from. That little mark. I don't know where it came from. So the panel, I mean, you're going to be able to clean it up after the fact, but obviously the cleaner you can keep it in the early stages, the better. You don't want to do all the heavy lifting in Photoshop. So I was like, I don't know where that came from. And then a little bit of the ink by her thigh just smeared. I don't know how because I don't have the black mark anywhere on my hand anywhere, indicating where I made contact with my body. But I've been dancing all around this page with my hand, so it wouldn't surprise me. That's one of the things I need to invest in sometime is one of those gloves. Because body oil will make the page respond differently to the ink than normal. Although I'm not like dancing all around this page and just smearing my hand all over it arbitrarily. I'm also trying to keep my contact to a minimum anyway. So that hopefully helps some. But I know a lot of professional inkers use those gloves. I don't want to work on this anymore. Let me switch over to the lower Catwoman here. This ink is very, 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 very runny because still, I guess the brush still had some water in it, and it kind of got into the ink a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, it'll be livable. It'll make it turn it from black star to black magic, really. But let me go down here. Can you see this one? Okay, good. Let's come down here and ink on this panel for a little bit. Let that dry out. And my little puppy dog sniffing around for something. I don't know what. Brush right now is perfect for the little spear strokes, so I'm going to go to town with these spear strokes down here in there, shading. The one isn't pretty, but that's alright. In a whole row of these little dovetailed spear strokes, if I get one that's garbage and the rest are beautiful, hey, I'll live with that. You know how long it took you to even get one looking decent? It takes a lot of practice. So yeah, but the thing that hurts me the most, oh crap. The thing that hurts me the most is I'm a very practical person. You could sit around and just do nothing but draw spear strokes on a brush and piece of paper. If that's what you can do, do it. Because that will help your skills so much. But I'm like, why am I wasting ink on something that's just a bunch of strokes? So I won't usually do that sort of thing. So if that's the way you are, if you're like, why am I making something that doesn't even make sense? Why? Then by all means, find a page that has what you want to practice and do the page like I'm doing now. Because I'm Mr. Why am I doing this if it's not really the real thing? And other people can probably just sit around and just do it on a piece of paper and just be like, okay, and draw lines. And whatever you need to do, like I said, for me, I like to draw actual pages. I like to know that when I'm done, even if it's garbage, at least I try to do a real page. That way I can actually see what's going on as far as how a real page would work. That way, not only do I have the experience of the tools for the practice, but I also have the actual experience of having done a whole page. Again, you can just sit around, just sit and draw draw the little shapes, right? Just drawing curved lines, little spear strokes, little dabs, what have you. But again, I'd rather just do the practical real pages, and so I have a real page for my portfolio if it comes out okay. I don't know if I'm gonna do these borders, these pages in order, like these actual panels in order. Actually, I think I'm gonna finish this fourth panel before I finish the third. Catwoman's costume and the third one's a nightmare. I'm more of a face person. I love drawing portraits. I think portraiture was stupid, and then I grew up and I was like, oh man, I love portraiture. That's where it's at. So for me, I'm bored out of my mind doing like costumes and stuff because it's like, it's detail. It helps you describe the character. But if you're drawing like a simple face and like a really elaborate costume, I'm bored out of my mind. If you go to my DeviantArt page, I can actually prove that in one simple statement, and that is, look for how many Spider-Man pinups I've got. 0. Because Spider-Man doesn't have a face. He does 0 face. Think about it. Spider-Man's head to toe, nothing. You see no humanity there. And I know you can argue, well, this is a human figure. You're right. You see the human figure. But think of all the detail you have to do to even portray that. All that spider webbing. Oh, my word. That's why the one Spider-Man page I did, he's not even wearing his mask. Spider-Man is more of a study of figure. And I don't know, I can study figure by doing other things rather than drawing tiny little spider lines on everything. I don't know how people that drew Spider-Man didn't lose their mind drawing like continuity. There probably is 0 continuity in Spider-Man costume. There's probably like 0 continuity. There's like, oh, this panel has 8 webs, this one has 10. There's probably 0 continuity between different panels. I've never really read a classic Spider-Man comic, although I've seen some panels from them. I've never done the research on that, and I'm sure there's. I mean, who knows? Those guys back then, the Jack Kirby's, the Stan Lees, they really were. They cut corners, but they didn't cut quality. Like a lot of people have brought up the point. Jack Kirby, man, he is not the best artist. In other words, there's little things that could be better, like his anatomy is not 100% perfect. But the point is, it's not horrible, and his storytelling is top notch. So sacrifices are made there because it's like, yeah, it's Jack Kirby. He can tell a story. He knows how to put an image on a page to tell a story. So if one muscle's a little bit off, who cares? Because the storytelling eclipses any kind of flaws in the art. And I think mostly he gets his reputation, and I could be wrong about this. Because Stan Lee is like his #1 spokesman. He will tell you about Jolly Jack, and he'll go on and on about how wonderful he is. And I've seen some panels, and they're pretty good. They have impact. That's the thing that's important. They're impactful. You're not looking and going, oh, boring, la la la. If he was a decent layout artist and that was it, he wouldn't be remembered. But the fact is, he could tell a story very memorably. So that made him very memorable, whether his art was the best or not. And then there's great artists that are out there that can't tell a story to save their lives. That's why they're kind of relegated to covers and pinups. It's a lot different being able to draw. I can draw, but I can't tell a story yet. I'm working on that skill. I mean, if you have any doubts about my drawing abilities, look at my DeviantArt page. I can draw whatever you put, pretty much whatever you put in front of me. I may draw some things better than others, but I still can't tell a story. Storytelling is a totally different animal, totally different. Whew, getting those little tiny facial details on Catwoman here. One thing I noticed about, because this page was inked by like one artist, and then for the print version, David Yardin himself inked the print version. Or I should say he touched up the version that the other guy had done. And the one thing I noticed with Yardin's page is that he erred in the favor of, I'm showing you a close-up of what I've been working on. He erred in the favor of making her eye makeup a lot darker, which I think looks good. I think if you did that kind of eye makeup in real life on a woman, it would look probably too trampy, perhaps, or too supermodel-y. But I think on a comic book it works good because you're trying to make a visual impact. So I think on a comic book page it works great. I think you actually had better draw women with much darker makeup in comics than you would actually put them in real life. Just because of the impact it makes on the page. Because that's what it is for comics. You really, everything has to be bolder than normal life. It's not really real life that's being portrayed. But, whoops, a little bit darker on her eyebrow than I wanted to be. Speaking of too dark. Okay, that rest of them I do with pen because it's really, really tiny work. Wow. It's amazing what you can get with this number 2 brush. How much detail you can get. I'm trying to see if I can get a good close-up without being too close so you get blurry. You can get some really good detail on this, which is just the tip of the brush. If you're very, very careful and you hold your breath and you wish for the best, you can get little tiny details. The trick is to, really, like I said, load it so you get a fine point. Once you've got that fine point, you can rule the world. That's what everybody wants to do, right? Rule the world. Here's your Fuse reference. Oh. Trying not to block myself in. Sometimes it's hard to tell what needs to be inked with the blue pencil. And you're like, oh, does that need to be inked, or is that just a ghost image of something that was not supposed to be there? So sometimes it's best to ink your light lines first, the thin light lines, and then go back and do the bold ones, because then you're like, oh, okay, because then you know what's left behind. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sort through the tangle of lines and saying, okay, what do I need to do first so I don't lose my place? Because this printed a little bit lighter perhaps than I really liked it. I'm just glad it printed it all. Again, one thing at a time. I got to print. Let me worry about getting it the right color next time. Part of it has to do with the well-lit area too. Man, I'm almost done with this Catwoman down here. I was kind of wondering how this would go. I think one of the things I try not to do, and I still do it anyway, is shove the brush. Shoving the brush will lead to a very, very poor line. You notice I try to do strokes in one direction. I don't care if it's left or, I mean, I'm trying to not, you don't try to push the tip, you try to pull it across the surface. Now that might be just common sense. That might be just common sense because I've tried it other ways and it just doesn't work. Yeah. You do not want to force the brush. Forcing the brush will look awful. It always does, and it never will stop. And I got to remember too that sometimes these pencils are open to somewhat limited interpretation. I would say David Yardens pages are probably the least open for interpretation, just because he gives you such great detail. And you don't get great detail unless the goal of the artist is to show you what exactly needs to be done. So I mean, he's solved every problem in this page for the most part. There's very few problem areas. What I mean solving problems is like you'll have like a page where you'll have like, oh, look at this random line. And you're like, what is that supposed to describe? And you have to sit there as an inker and look at the pencils and try to make sense of them. And I wouldn't say it's laziness as a penciler to do that. Sometimes it's just, I've got to get through this page quickly, and they'll just sketch it really quickly. Yarden tends to be very tight on his pencils, which is never a bad thing. And that's another thing, too. You'll see different levels of penciling. That doesn't make them bad artists. It just means that they've gotten some things the way they need to get done. Let me shake the brush again. Yarden tends to work really tightly when he knows someone else is inking his stuff. I know this because he said so. He actually has a very fantastic YouTube channel. And he has there's actually a page of him online on YouTube. It's actually a nine video process where he goes through from start to finish, like an origin of Colossus page. It's like it was an X-Men page he penciled and inked, where it was supposed to portray like the story of Colossus, like key elements of his story. Really clenching down hard on my arm. Key elements of his story, and plus a big fat panel at the bottom of him in the danger room. And this brush is starting to get a little dirty. I'm trying to see if I got anything in the last panel because it does have the same brickwork. I'm trying to see if there's anything in that last panel that I can use a dirty brush on. Because it is starting to get a little crumbling. I might do a full brush clean just to let the ink dry on the page so I don't smear it. Well, I actually got another nice little piece of her done. But yeah, he goes from start to finish and shows you how he draws an X-Men page. And I think in one of those videos he made a comment that he says that, oh, I'm not penciling this too tight because I'm the inker on it right now. And really, that's true. There's no sense in penciling it tighter because you're just wasting your time. You want to solve all the problems in the penciling stages. Unless the problem can easily be solved in the inking stages, then why waste your time penciling it to get it out of the way now? That's what I love about these bricks. The brick panels, it's just like, oh, okay. You just make kind of cool looking lines on the page. And a lot of people commented on my brickwork. They're like, oh man, it looks so amazing. How'd you do that? I'm like, just dry brush. Dirty brush and go to town. Still able to see this? Okay, good. What I'm excited to do today is the Superman, because not because of all the curves, but yeah, somewhat. Because the thing is with the cape, it's big, fat, chunky curves. If a line looks a little clunky, it's not going to matter. It's just going to look like a folded drapery. So it's a little bit more forgiving than, say, Catwoman's goggles, where it has to be all really tight and nice, and it's supposed to look like real goggles. And if you start making it a little sloppy, you're going to tell it's not real goggles, etc. And that can be kind of frustrating. Let me go ahead and do this contour line here real quick. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to paint in the areas that I know need to be painted in, so that I can know for future reference where the X stops and where it goes. Because he planned out very specific white areas in the page. I'm trying not to forget them. There we go. So that's going to be, whoops, let me do one quick line before I get here. Do it up here. See, that's like right there, that upper quadrant of bricks. That's kind of like the finished portion of how it's going to look. Anyway, let me let that all dry. I'll leave this kind of like where you can see it, because I'm sure you don't necessarily see my brush cleaning technique. Is this, okay, I flip around this one. I'm going to kind of put the focus on where we've been working so you can see it better. Oops, that's too far away. Okay, good. I get a little turned around, so I forget which side is closest for you guys. There we go. But anyway, Yarden's channel is amazing. His channel and Jonathan Glapion. By the way, Glapion is Glapion. Jonathan Glapion. And his channel is amazing too. He'll show you all kinds of stuff, like how to do how to convert to blue pencil, how to take out the blue pencil. I use a different technique than he does for removing the blue pencil. This is how I got the blue pencil for this. So pretty straightforward stuff. By the way, I'm going to do a quick check on social media just to see if anybody's commented, not commented, but has a question or something. Because I don't know if you guys can put a comment here. That's what I'm kind of curious about. I thought there was a comment section. Here we go, group chat. Did anybody's comment? No, okay. Again, I'm not crying tears if you guys don't comment. I'm certainly not. But if you guys are commenting, I don't want to sit there and go, oh, like a cabbage head, and not realize you guys have a question. Because that's worse than anything, is sitting here like a cabbage head. Going, gee whiz, what was I supposed to be talking about? All right, I'm starting to get a little bit hungry, so I might try to finish this Catwoman here and take a break. How long have I been doing this? Like less than an hour, really. I got a lot done for less than an hour, really. May not seem like it, but it's like, yeah, made a lot of progress. I might go ahead and get some of this quadrant down here done. My goal is to at least get this panel done. Actually, while I'm taking a break, I'm going to grab my microns and go to town. Nice small micron. And I think I'll leave that curvature for the brush. Oh, I can't wait to do Catwoman's face. This here is a big, fat, classic portrait. Look at that panel. That is just absolutely beautiful. And the beautiful part is there's no pupil. You have to sit there and go, okay, let me draw a little tiny character. Oh, let me draw on Catwoman's lacing too. While I know the ink up here is dry, get that over with, get it done. One less thing to worry about. Is this too thick of a line? I don't think this one will be. One trick about French curves is get as many as you can. I got a 3-pack. You'll never find every single possible curve, and even if you do, it's so much easier to not have to worry about, oh, is this close to the right curve? Get the right one. It'll take a lot of concentration, folks. Whew! Deep breath. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and, if you guys are tuning in, I think I will ink in her lines here, and then I'll take a break because I am hungry, powerful hungry already. Jeez. I missed one of my lines, so I'm like, oh boy. I'm able to fake it if I do it carefully enough. Big fat curve right there. I mean, I can always touch up in Photoshop, but I'd rather not. Again, I'd rather do minimal touch up. I mean, from a distance you can't even tell, but that's kind of my goal. Just to minimize any kind of problems that you can see up, unless you can see it up close. Really tricky doing these entire lines. Oh boy. From a distance, they don't look bad at all. Let me see if we turn it around so you guys can see. See? I mean, if you get up really close, let me see if I can angle that just right. That's. You can see there's a little bit of variation in the lines, but from a distance, if I clean it up a little bit in Photoshop, you're not going to even tell. Even without cleaning up in Photoshop, you can't even tell, but you know. This is the part that's going to be the pain in the butt. This really is going to be the part that's the pain in the butt. Sitting here drawing little tiny lines and humps and things. Yeah, you can't even tell. That curve I might ink a little darker because you actually can tell that it's a different line. But it's a different line. There we go. So yeah, you can't even tell. There's going to be a little bit of variation. I think it'll accept some variation in the webbing, just a little bit. I don't think it bugs me as much as I guess perhaps it should. I mean, you could sit here and obsess about every little tiny curve of this line, but I'm not even going to bother. Why? It's, first of all, no one's going to notice. Second of all, the world is imperfect. So why are you going to try to draw everything in the world as being perfect? It's not going to happen. It's not right. It's not real. It's not right. Boy, am I hungry. See if I can get that curve just right. 90% of using a French curve is finding the right curve to use. You can't just find that kind of okay one and hope it works out. You can angle your pen a little bit to kind of change it, but I wouldn't recommend doing that too much because if you darken it back down, how do you do it? You have to follow the same path exactly. Kind of hard to do. It's doable. I've done it. It's kind of hard to do. A lot of pen, a lot of work to do on this. Hope I'm not messing up the Superman panel. Okay, I'm not. Man, the part of her thigh that counts, the upper thigh that you're going to see more clearly, looks amazing so far. So it's going to distract from everything else because you're looking at, wow, look at those amazingly precise lines. And you may not notice the not so precise lines on the backside of her thigh. You might forget them going, that's the back of her thigh. It curves around. And so you might, the eye might go ahead and accept any kind of problems with that area. And look at that row of lines I did in her costume on the mid thigh. That's pretty darn close to being even. All right. Then they got other meshing. The other mesh is not gonna be that hard because it's tiny pieces of it. So I'll probably do her knee next. Trying not to break the video, but I'm hungry, so it's like, when I get hungry, I get really hungry. I try not to do anything with pen. I don't know why. I just got this stigmata. I think it's because the pen doesn't really transfer very well in scans. It doesn't go dark very easily. I get a lot of lightness. It comes up like 80% black instead of 100% black. I think. But that's true about inking in general. That's why a lot of people will bitmap their stuff. By the time you bitmap it and blow it up from 600 to the 150 that you need for printing, you're not going to have any problems. All right, that looks pretty darn good. Except for that little wobble I had. You see that really good? There we go. That's a lot of lines, but damn does it look sharp. You know what? I did make a little bit of a mistake on her under thigh. I might just thicken out her under thigh anyway, just to bolden out that line. Just for the sake of argument. Looks really good now. Let me. What am I going to do? I'm going to take a break. I'm hungry. I'm going to cut the feed for right now. I'm going to resume probably about 15 minutes or so. I got to grab something to eat, and then once I'm done eating, I'll come back on live. I'll send new links to everything. But I can't concentrate when I'm hungry like this. I should have ate first, but I wasn't hungry when I got up, and then I get hungry really fast when I've been up for a while. So, I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit here and watch me eat for the next 20 minutes. Plus, it'll save the video up to YouTube. But anyway, I'm going to eat that real quick, come back online, and see if I can get this rest of this panel finished, the rest of this page finished up. And I'll see you in about, I guess, 15, 20 minutes. There we are. Hey. See you in about 20. I'll try to send links to all the relevant connections.